All right, test, 1 2, test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing. All right, so in this video, we are going to try to do something different. I'm going to show you guys what it is like to mess with some of these settings on a mixer. It's a little bit weird because I'm hearing myself talk in my headphones as I'm talking, and that's kind of annoying. But I'm going to try to show you guys what I meant with everything that I explained earlier. At least a couple things in this video. So the first thing that I wanted to show you guys is what gain does. And I guess a more technical definition of gain would be sensitivity, or how sensitive your channel is to the input that you're providing. So right now, if you look over here, our gain is set to negative 4.1, right? Now, if I was somebody that holds their microphone inside their mouth like this, then you could see that our level is much higher over here, and we're getting to negative 6, and it sounds distorted, right? So we need this channel to be a little bit less sensitive, like right there. Even though I'm holding the microphone inside my mouth like it was, it sounds a little bit better, and it's not, well, maybe it doesn't sound better, it sounds horrible, but it's not reaching high levels over here. Now, if I was somebody that spoke really far away from the microphone like this, we need our channel to be more sensitive and pick up the signal that we're providing. So gain is sensitivity, right? So I'm going to put it back to kind of where we were and bring the microphone closer. So this is kind of where I have the microphone, and we're going to leave our gain right about here. That's good enough for me. All right? So that is what gain is. It's sensitivity of the channel for purposes of what input we're providing. And I think that before we move on, you guys should put on headphones so that we can go over what it is that an equalizer does in a little bit more detail. Let me see. So we're going to go here. We're going to click on this guy, make this bigger. So this is an equalizer. This is going to be our low. Well, it kind of tells you here low, low mid, and high. And as I'm talking, you can kind of see my voice has a lot of these frequencies here, and then a little bit of highs over here, and then I don't have a lot of frequency here for the most part. But depending on what we move here, it's going to change the way our voice is sounding to our audience. So let's put up the lows and see what that sounds like. We're going to be really drastic about it here. And do you guys see how it's a lot more muffly and lower end, and I almost sound like a different person? And we're going to bring it down and see what that does. So here, let's make this a little wider. Test 1 2. So there are almost no low frequencies right here, nothing. And even though my voice is providing some low end, this is really cutting into it, and you can kind of see how my voice has almost no low end here. Right, so let's bring this back to 0 or normal. There we go. So that's a more natural sounding voice. Let's put up the low mids and see what that sounds like. So this sounds pretty bad, pretty muffled and horrible. And then if we bring it down, it sounds like I have a lot of low end, or some low end, and high end, and there's really nothing in between. Let's put up the high mid. Test. So this is really sharp sounding, I guess, really high sounding, but this is kind of annoying, honestly. And then let's bring it down and see what that sounds like. Testing 1 2 3. So almost no highs, right? Now let's put this back to the middle, and let's put this up. Test. So remember last video where I said that if you put the highs really high, you can really hear the s and the t. So testing 1 2 3. I'm talking the same, but you can really hear the s's and the t's. Let's bring it down. Testing 1 2 3. So that again sounds pretty muffly. And that is basically what EQ does. And what we're going to do now is we're going to find where it sounds the worst with our low mids. So test, 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 test. That sounds really hollow right there. So let's actually bring that down. Test, test, 1, 2, testing. And I don't really need a lot of lows, so let's bring that down. And let's see, testing. Let's put a little bit of a high frequency on here. Test, test, 1, 2. So, I mean, it's really hard to judge how this sounds because I'm hearing it in my headphones as I'm talking. But I would say we got rid of some of the really muffly frequencies here, and we don't need a lot of the low end if we're just talking. And then we have some highs to add a little bit of clarity. And this is probably something really, okay sounding for a speaker. But let's turn it off. Test, 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 test. I don't know. I mean, this is just an experiment, so I don't really know what this sounds like in the headphones, but it kind of just goes to show you what the equalizer does and how it affects the sound that we are hearing. Testing, 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 1, 2, testing, 1, 2, testing, testing, testing. All right, guys, so that is a video on gain and equalizer.